Big D Entertainment, in association with Dipsy Doodle Productions, presents The Dave Holly Hour. Brought to you by TJS Ceramic Studio, Posh Boutique in the Bridges at 57th, The Sky & Tea, XL Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Jesse Moffitt Entertainment, and the Sioux Falls Arts Council. The Dave Holly Hour features Sioux Empire arts and entertainment conversations. A true lover of arts, entertainment, good food, and fun times, including an occasional Jack Daniels. Okay, so a few Jack Daniels. Here he is, Dave Holly.
Welcome, one and all. Great to have you along for the conversations. Just a reminder that next week will be the final show of 2023 as Big D Entertainment takes the week off between Christmas and New Year's. Also, if you are a regular trivia player at Chasers, this coming Monday, the 18th, will be the last trivia for 2023. It's Christmas Day is on a Monday. New Year's Day will also be a Monday, so there will be no trivia those 2 days. But make your way this coming Monday for Holly Jolly Trivia at Chasers. Yes, it's all about me, so pay attention while you're listening to the show. Meanwhile, for today's episode, we talk with Kjerstin Smith. She's doing double duty for the Premiere Playhouse, A Christmas Carol. Will be in TPP's The Glass Menagerie in March, and she and her husband Jamie sing in the Rainbow Chorus. Then later in the show, an interview I did with my nephew Andy Wortman while we were on vacation back in October. One of the bands that he's in, the Southern Shame, gave us permission during the first round of COVID to play a song they wrote about being locked up during the coronavirus. So it's fun to talk about that. Oh, and by the way, today just happens to be his 45th birthday. Happy birthday, Andy. I love you. But first, let's pop the cork on this bubbly little show. Time to grab your favorite beverage, lift it high, and toast it to being Thursday, a.k.a. Weekend Eve.
Hey, the weekend isn't around the corner, it's here!
So long, hump day, and your frumpy way. We say hello to Thursdays with opening nights. The weekend is near, and we can see the bright lights. Yes, Thursday, you're so hearty, we can't wait for Friday, so a day early, we start the party. Whatever you're drinking and whatever you're drinking it out of might very well be determined by where and when you're listening. My choice, as usual, a Jasper Newton. Jack Daniels Diet Coke with a lime. For you, whether it's a cup of coffee, glass of milk, mug of beer, a cocktail, glass of wine, or flute of champagne, lift it high and toast to those that believe. It's my love's favorite word. For her, it's believing in Santa, Christmas, and me. I happen to have a list in a journal of those that believe in me. It's a fluid list. Some people fall off, other people join, but typically, and they don't know about it, it's just who I recognize as believing in me. And it stays around a dozen. So to all of you that believe, no matter the context, cheers to you. The Weekend Eve Toast is brought to you by The Sky & Tea. The Sky provides all caps fun, and that is best had with friends. Have fun playing darts, shooting pool, have fun listening to great live music from local musicians, or have fun singing at karaoke. Need some extra room to hold a company party, or you're having a benefit? The Sky's back room fits the bill. No matter what's going on at The Sky, it's local and it's lively. Honorable mention. What over the past week made Dave laugh, guffaw, chuckle, chortle, giggle, smile, or maybe even shed a tear of joy? The Rainbow Chorus had an amazing concert last Friday night, a night of Broadway show tunes that were absolutely spot on. And since they sang Seasons of Love from Rent, it's an extra honorable mention this week. Thank you, Rainbow Chorus. Coming up later in the show, we hear from bass guitarist / nephew Andy Wortman. Up next, actor-singer Kjerstin Smith. on the Dave Holly Hour.
Check out the new ceramic studio in Sioux Falls, conveniently located off Kiwanis Avenue on 5th Street. TJS Ceramics inside Oscar's Mini Storage. We have thousands of classic vintage ceramic mold items and several new items too. TJS Ceramics offers classes, special open studio nights, and completed ready-to-purchase items. Bisque studio time or painting parties are available. Visit TJS Ceramics Studio in person today or email tjsceramics@gmail.com for more details.
Are you an artist? Need some funding to further your art? There's a great opportunity for you through a Sioux Falls Arts Council program. The Artist Microgrant program gives away several microgrants to local artists, no matter what art discipline you're in. Unlike more traditional grants, a microgrant is very easy to apply for. Go to artssiouxfalls.org. If you haven't done so yet, create a listing on the Artist Directory, which is beneficial in its own way. Then go to the Artist Microgrants page and apply online. The process is simple. Find out more about the Sioux Falls Arts Council as well online at artssiouxfalls.org.
Comedy magician and hypnotist Jesse Moffat's right. He can't play the piano, but he can sure entertain crowds with his amazing magic and clever quips. His shows always make the participants the stars, especially when they've fallen asleep on stage. They've been hypnotized. Are you the party planner in your group? Then you owe it to your group to make the event magical, even if it puts you to sleep. Here's how.
For booking information, go to Jesse Moffitt Entertainment on Facebook. That's JESSEMOFFITT. Or call 605-929-0964.
The Dave Holly Hour. Like eavesdropping on a great conversation between two very interesting people.
Welcome back, everybody. Sure enough, you know I'm going to say it. It is always a pleasure to talk Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment. Always a pleasure to have a new guest on as well. I've been wanting to have this lady on for some time. And I do say lady because there was a chance she could have been the first lady of South Dakota.
This is true.
Wasn't to be, though.
No.
Doesn't mean we still don't want it. Kjerstin Smith, how are you?
I am doing great. How are you?
If I were any better, I'd be twins.
Oh,
I'd
I love it.
Twice as much stuff done. Yeah, but, so it is. So I just go about having a couple of people on my show every week and talking about arts and entertainment. Boy,
great.
We've known each other just over a year. Mm-hmm. We had been friends on Facebook, I believe,
correct,
already. But we finally met in real life as we were in the auditions for the Premiere Playhouse.
Yes.
And so we both got in. You were in one play and I was in the other. So we got to chat from time to time.
Yeah.
And I also got to see your acting chops more. Mm-hmm. And it's like, wow, this gal's got it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, well, very much so, and well-deserved. And then, sure enough, we're going to be in premieres again, except yours is a little later.
Yes.
You will be in the special one, the Glass Menagerie. I am in the
special, yes.
Yes.
I am.
And we'll talk about that in a minute. But
okay.
This was hitting a triple today on this show because I was going to talk to you about being in Rainbow Chrous and then Glass Menagerie.
Yes.
And then I find out that you're in A Christmas Carol.
You are correct.
You kind of jumped into that late minute, didn't you? What took place?
Did. One of the cast members got very, very ill and was advised not to continue. And so Oliver reached out to me and said, hey, could you fill in for this part? Mm-hmm. And this was the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. And I'm like, okay, it's not a lot of lines. This will be fine. Uh-huh. And then the Monday after Thanksgiving, the director, Larry, calls me up and says, hey, we have somebody else who's gotten sick. Could you also play this part? And I took a moment on that one because I thought, I don't want to overcommit, but I also like to be helpful. So I agreed. So I am now Bumble with the Bunty and Bumble combo, and I am Mrs. Fezziwig.
Really?
Which is a very fun part.
That is a dandy role.
Yes.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Well, so when you were looking at that, you go, well, couldn't I just be an understudy for one?
Well, let me tell you, I really respect understudies. So my son studies at Nebraska Wesleyan, is getting a Bachelor of Fine Arts in musical theater. And he was an understudy and a swing for 4 people. And so he's learning 4 different people's parts and just has to be able to step in. And we do have understudies for this show, but they have been a part of things pretty much from the beginning. And so they've been learning their part alongside the character who they would fill in for. I don't think I want to be an understudy. There is so much pressure on that. This is a little bit better for me because I just know that these are my parts, and I know that I'm going to be performing them every time. I'm not going to be like, is tonight? Do I go on tonight? I'm not sure. So I would prefer not to be an understudy from what I've seen. That's a lot of work, and you don't get much time to rehearse. So it's a tough thing. Yeah.
Yeah, like being on the B squad.
Yeah. Right.
Whereas this was
and you never
like,
know when you're going to get called up.
Yeah. Whereas this was more, hey, we got an opening. Yeah. We need you. Oh, hey, we have a second opening.
Yes.
Oh, goodness gracious. So tell us about those 2 parts, what you enjoy about each one of them.
Well, they're very different from each other. Bumble is much more proper. She and Bunty are sort of tied at the hip and are constantly trying to raise money to help out the poor. And their interactions with Scrooge are immensely fun because Tom Roberts gets into it and he allows us the freedom to react to him. And it's amazing to work with an actor with such skill because it's such a gift that's given. And so that part for me, not that I haven't ever worked with people who are skilled before, I'm not saying that, but in this particular instance, that's what I found the most delightful is that I have an opportunity to work in conjunction with somebody and do it so well. So that's been super fun with that one. Mrs. Fezziwig is very different. She's supposedly a little more bawdy and very excitable and loves throwing parties. She sort of lives for the parties. And so in Christmas Carol, she and her husband, Mr. Fezziwig, are the ones that are throwing these parties. And within those parties that happen over a few years, Scrooge and his love come together and eventually come back apart. And in that one, I get to work with Dave Baumeister, and that has been a treat because he's done this for a long time. And it's fun to interact off of each other, even on stage, just some things we haven't rehearsed. But again, that playing off of each other, I think that's really what I'm finding the most fun in all of this. Makes
the character so much more realistic as well.
And
when
it's
you
so
get
much
that
easier.
going.
It is so much easier when people are giving, right? And you can give back. It's amazing.
All right. Now, every year the cast changes for this, although Tom Roberts has maintained the Scrooge part for some time. Is this making you say, well, next year maybe I'll hop in and just want to be in it from the beginning?
I'm gonna not make a commitment to that. This has been an incredible learning experience for me, and I'm grateful to be a part of it. It has also taken up an enormous amount of time, and this time of year, having 4 hours rehearsal every night makes everything more complicated in life. So I think I would like to ask me maybe when the run is through, when I've done it and I've gotten to perform, and I'm like, yes, I will do this forever. So right now I'm just getting through now.
All right. So when did acting start for you?
Well, I was Princess Rose in a 5th grade play, and I thought I was so amazing. And I got to borrow this really cool, beautiful dress. And at that point I was bitten, but I didn't know exactly because I went through the music route. So I played trumpet. I took piano lessons for 13 years. I got to do a little bit of vocal. And so acting sort of became something off to the side. And I think I didn't think that I was capable. So in high school, I played in the pit, and so I was adjacent to the theater, the actors, and that was always an amazing experience. And then we moved my middle of my junior year of high school, and the new school that I went to had a spring show. Actually, it was early summer, and I thought, what the heck, I'm gonna try out. And to my surprise, I got in. I was a shapoopy dancer.
Oh.
Yes. And what else? I was a townsperson.
In Music Man.
In Music Man, yes. And that was so much fun. So the next year I thought, well, I'll try again.
Now, did you go, boy, it's fun if nothing else just to say shapoopy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, over and over and over and over. Yeah. My 16-year-old self thought that was pretty hilarious to say it over and over and over.
I know that my 16-year-old self would have been that way,
well,
too.
even now, as my 52-year-old self, it's fun to say shapoopy. So eventually I got the lead the next year in the high school play in Brigadoon. And I was like, what is that about? I don't even know, why am I in this part? And then I graduated and I just still didn't have the confidence. So I did one show in college. Mm-hmm. But then a few years ago, Mamma Mia was going to be produced. And I had always told myself that if there came an opportunity to try out for it, I would do that. So I took lessons from the wonderful Amy Morrison.
Oh, yeah.
And got to be in the play. And I woke up one morning and my sister-in-law, Carrie, had called me and said, you need to look at the cast list. And I thought, oh man, I'm going to be like, I don't know, townsperson number 2 again. And much to my surprise, I was Donna. I was the lead.
Yeah.
So after a 28-year hiatus, I stepped back in and I have not looked back ever since.
That's awesome.
It's so addicting.
Yeah. And we're looking forward again to this coming year. But before we move on to acting again, let's talk about, I and my love were there to watch the Rainbow Chorus and a beautiful night of Broadway tunes.
Mm-hmm. It was great.
Yeah.
So fun to sing.
When did you decide to get involved in that? Was it from the beginning?
No. They kind of got together about a year ago in December. Mm-hmm. So they're very new. And I had missed their first concert. But I went to the next one. My husband and I both did. And we were listening and we're like, separately, we decided we needed to be in it. I came over and I'm like, I'm thinking of joining, and he's saying the same thing to me, kind of a thing. So it was just this fall.
Way to go, Jamie.
Yeah, exactly. It was this fall. We both love to sing, and haven't found the opportunity that was the right fit for us.
Right.
And so I love being able to sing. I love being able to sing in a group. There's something about the energy when everything comes together, very much like acting. And it's really fun to be a part of an important cause and to support people who traditionally perhaps have not felt supported.
Right.
So it's just the concert was an amazing experience in that way.
Yeah.
And on all levels, all those different facets.
Yeah, and Dale Humor's one of the directors.
Yes.
Oh my, and the accompanist.
Oh yeah, I don't even know. I took piano and I'm like,
Wow.
I don't even know how to play that. So he was fantastic.
Well, we had a really great view of him.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I didn't expect that part coming and those fingers going that way.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Especially in those medleys when you have to all of a sudden just shift gears. Yeah, he was great.
Very good stuff. And like you said, a great cause.
Yes.
And the thing that I like about their concerts are the fact that there's a testimonial.
Yes.
Or two. In fact, the first one, I think there were like 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
And just fantastic to hear people's stories.
Yes.
And
heartbreaking.
Yeah, very true.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and what people have gone through.
Yes.
To get to this point, to have some inclusiveness, and to have a situation like this.
Yes, a community.
A community that allows it, and the fact that, normally this would have been, oh yes, the gay chorus of San Francisco, or pick a major metro area,
right?
Not a city of 208,000.
Correct.
Yeah.
And in a state that is primarily red.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Very true.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a fantastic bit. All right. Now,
okay,
we move on.
Yes.
Yes. All right. So you are going to be in the Glass Menagerie.
Yes.
Which is actually kind of part of the Premieres, but it's more, I can't remember the official title.
I don't remember either.
Yeah, but it's going to be later on. Yeah. And so the Premieres will be in February, and then Glass Menagerie is in March.
Correct.
Yeah. And you are the mama.
I am.
Mm-hmm.
And this was another situation where I didn't expect to be in the part I am. I had gone in just to actually audition for the Premieres, and they were auditioning Glass Menagerie at the same time. And I went in and just said, I'll be anything, just
right.
I'm
just
good with the part.
Yeah,
it was fun last year. And so they had us read did they have us? Yeah, I think they had us read a Glass Menagerie side. But anyway, I got called back, and I got called back for Glass Menagerie, and I'm like, wow, there aren't many parts in that show. There's like 4 actors. Wait a minute. What? I'm getting called back for that? And so I went back, and I always have to be better than everybody else. So I put on my very best acting hat, like this was going to be my moment. Not so much to get the part, but because I didn't want to look silly in front of all the people sitting in there. So I did that, and I was like, okay, well, that was fine. And I'm obviously not going to be in premieres, and if I'm not in this, it's okay. I have other things that I'm involved in. It's great. And then I find out I got the part of Amanda, and let me tell you, it is daunting.
Yeah.
It is incredibly daunting.
Big role.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. The number of monologues, sort of monologues, but I mean, just huge chunks of text. It's crazy. So I've had the script and I've been looking it over. I told Oliver Mays that I wanted to have it all memorized by the time we started rehearsing in January. I am not going to get there. So I have to tell Oliver that. Oliver, if you're listening, I'm sorry. Partly because this other opportunity came in and the time I was going to dedicate, I haven't been able to do that. So, but yeah, just trying to understand the character and the complexities of that character and what's driving her, what she wants. We're going to have a read through coming up on the 18th. And I think that may be a time when we can explore some of that and clarify that for each other. So I'm excited, but I'm scared.
All right.
Honestly, I'm scared.
Okay. So you said you put on, when you had the call back, your best acting hat.
Yep.
What is Kjerstin Smith's best acting hat?
Oh my goodness. I become like my energy level goes super high and I'm really animated and I'm like, I have to be better than everybody else. And so I'm just trying to ooze the character from what I can understand and trying to make different choices than other people might make to separate myself from others. And then there were a couple times when we were asked to try that, whatever that scene just was, a different way with a different approach. And so then doing that, I'm like, okay, well, I have to be the best. And so I don't know. It's very much like when I step on a stage. There's something that happens that doesn't happen for me until there's an audience. Even running this show right now, I'm doing fine, but not fine enough for me. But I do know that once there's an audience, that will kick it up a notch. And so it was that similar feeling in the audition.
Were you competitive as a child?
Yes, but not in sports. I was competitive primarily with myself.
Okay.
I held and do hold myself to very high standards. And so I think that's part of it.
Because it seems like you keep building and one-upping your own self even.
Yeah, I try.
Yeah.
I also am trying to push myself beyond what I think my limits are. At this point in my life, both of my boys are gone to school. And so there's a lot more time that I can play with. And I want to make sure that I continue to push myself to improve and to learn and to grow. And so I think that comes in too. When I'm auditioning, I'm like, okay, well, I want to do the best I can here. But yeah, I think I've always been competitive in board games and things like that. Just, I'm not sporty.
But musically and so forth.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. We would have contests and I would want to be the best.
Yeah. Be first chair.
Oh, yes.
All right.
All
and so you chose trumpet as an instrument, but
I did.
You played piano for 13 years.
Yes.
And was that a situation of you got to choose to play piano for 13 years, or were there parental, you have to play piano?
Right. So at the beginning, it was you have to play piano. But I found that I fell in love. I completely fell in love with piano. And so many days, that was my outlet. If I had a bad day, I would just sit down at the piano and just play and play. And I thought I would continue on beyond with piano. I took it in college. I had a Pro Musica scholarship for that. And then some things just went awry, and that path just stopped.
Life changes.
And so now I can plunk some things out, but I certainly don't have the same skill that I did years ago.
What do you think it takes to be a great entertainer, whether it be in music or whether it be on stage?
I think there needs to be authenticity, which sounds a little strange because you're pretending you're somebody else in acting, right? But people know when you're faking it. There's some, so it's like the saying, Kjerstin Smith as if she's whatever part, right? As if she's Bumble. And that piece of you that you bring, I think people know when you're being authentic with it, and that you're fully present in it. So I think there's that piece. For me, I love comedy. I don't do stand-up comedy. I never would, but I love comedic timing. And so I think being good at that can draw people in, and they get surprised, and then they're, engaged in that. I think it takes somebody who a good performer listens to the other people on the stage. They don't just recite their lines.
Like you were saying earlier, getting the gift.
Yep. Yeah. It's a back and forth. You need to listen to what they're saying, and then your lines are responding to that. And so you have to know what they just said. It can't just be robotic. And I think it takes guts. I mean, there's a lot of people who are in theater who aren't perhaps outgoing otherwise.
Right. There are a lot of introverts.
Yeah, a lot of introverts.
But get them on stage.
Yeah. And it's a whole other thing. I think because they get to be somebody else. They get to pretend. I mean, that is for me. I'm an extroverted introvert. And it's very complicated. But the minute I'm on stage, I feel like I'm home. I'm like, all right. And now I've got this power over all of you people looking at me, and I can make you laugh. I can make you cry. I hope I don't make you bored. But, there's just something about that connection. Oh, I have goosebumps talking about it.
Now, obviously, when you started doing some theater, you were in some musicals. And your music background obviously helped you. What do you think it's like for somebody that doesn't have a music background and all of a sudden they want to be in theater and it's a musical?
Well, I would say if you're going to go into theater and you aren't musically inclined, I would suggest starting with just a straight play first, just to get the acting chops down. The people that you work with, your director and your stage manager and all those kinds of people, and the music people for the musical are there to help you, and will definitely get you on the right track and help you learn however you learn. So if you don't read music, we could do it by listening. So it's possible. I would say that my voice I'm uncomfortable with my voice. I don't feel confident in it. And by taking those lessons with Amy, it helped. I still would get on stage and think, why am I the one up here singing? But there are people there to help you out.
Yeah.
So even if you are not musically inclined or don't have experience, I think there are people there who have your back.
What's the role you dream about?
Oh, I've already had it. I've always wanted, I thought I wanted to be Donna's sidekick friend that was played by my sister-in-law. But then I got the part of Donna, and it's going to be hard to ever top that for me. Amanda in Glass Menagerie is going to be amazing and a challenge. But in terms of pure joy, Donna in Mamma Mia was the pinnacle. It was my entrance and a peak at the same time for me.
Who do you look up to as an actor?
Lots of people. Tom Roberts, who is playing Scrooge. The way he can transform himself into this character is just and be consistent throughout the entire show. I mean, he just never drops out of character. So I watch him very closely as he acts, and I try to see what kinds of things he does to give that authenticity. Terry Zerfus. I got to be in a show with her in the premieres last year, and I watch her now. And again, there's an authenticity there. She's such a natural, and she has such great comedic timing. She can choose things that are different every night, and so we're all laughing every time we're watching the rehearsal. So I really admire her. Who else do I look up to? I'm sure there are others, but nobody else is coming to mind right now. I'm sorry if you're listening and I don't.
What about on the big screen and the TV and so forth? You know,
I don't know if I have anybody.
Celebrity ones. So
Sarah Bareilles. Waitress is playing in the movie theaters.
That's right.
I had seen it on Broadway with her in it, and so that performance, that run, was on screen. I saw it this weekend, and she just amazes me with her chameleon-like ways. I mean, she's a singer primarily, but the woman steps out on Broadway and just kills the part with such ease. It's fascinating to watch. So I really enjoy her. Trying to think of who else. I don't pay as much attention to that. I look more at shows than I do at specific performers. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Certainly.
Yeah.
But the ones that you listed on the local basis, definitely.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
That's a list.
Those are the heavy hitters.
All right. So we always end up our conversations with 2 questions. How you answer the first one might depend on how you answer the second. All right. So question number 1, when you're not involved with the arts and entertainment, what do you like to be entertained by?
The local arts and entertainment. I mean, really, we have such a rich array. I'm amazed. I've been in Sioux Falls for 33 years, and I'm amazed at these last 10 years what has just blossomed. There are so many opportunities that we are frequent flyers at many of the local shows. And I mean, otherwise, the occasional movie, those kinds of things. But really, live theater, there's nothing quite like it. Or live performance.
Or live music.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is it's never ending because we have so many people.
So much talent.
Involved. And it's just great to see that. I have a list right now of about 50 people that I still need to get on the show sometime.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So it's the fact that people aren't just in the arts, they become the arts, and they are taking the time to hone their crafts, whether they're a singer, a dancer, an actor, or a writer. And, that's part of the fun about the premieres.
Oh, yeah.
We get brand new spanking plays that were written locally.
Yeah.
Always fun.
Yeah.
All right. Then the final question is, any other hobbies?
Well, right now, no, because all I'm doing is working and going to rehearsals. I love to read. I'm a librarian. So a lot of my time I have a couple book clubs I'm in, so then I read for those things. And I love organizing things. I don't know if that's a hobby, but I love keeping my home organized and decorated the right way. Right. So that I oftentimes find myself doing that, which seems like work, but it doesn't feel like it because I enjoy it.
Yeah, all right. I'm an organizer too. I don't know if that's a symptom type thing or anything.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I'm going to follow up with one more thing because this is a Christmas time and you are in a Christmas Carol.
Correct.
What type of traditions in the Smith household?
Well, we typically spend Christmas Eve. My in-laws live right next door. We share a yard. And so we walk across the yard on Christmas Eve. We have church. And then we open presents that night. And then the following day, on Christmas Day, we open Santa's gifts at home, even though my boys are 22 and 19. And then on Christmas Day, we drive out to Wisconsin to where my side of the family is and spend a few days. So, it's packed full.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Kjerstin Smith, appreciate the time.
I appreciate being asked to be here. Thank you so much.
You're quite welcome. Have a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and a wonderful New Year.
You as well.
All right. And we'll be back with more of the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment.
Helping women feel empowered and confident is what Posh Boutique at the Bridges at 57th does, while supplying high-quality clothing that fits your lifestyle, personality, and price point. Whether you want comfy and cozy, casual attire, or something for a special occasion, Posh provides quality, selection, and value. They carry sizes extra small to 3X and have something appropriate for any age. Feel empowered and get confident. Posh Boutique at the Bridges at 57th.
Dr. Perry Langston and Dr. Corey Tooney know excellence is in you. That's why they provide you with excellent care at XO Chiropractic, improving your overall health in spirit, body, mind, and will. Get results the natural way. Arrange a consultation. 605-332-9235 or exokairos.com. Excellent care for excellent people. XO Chiropractic, located at 4309 South Racket Drive in Sioux Falls.
Check out the new ceramic studio in Sioux Falls, conveniently located off Kiwanis Avenue on 5th Street. TJS Ceramics, inside Oscar's Mini Storage. Bisque, studio time, painting parties, and finished items are available. Visit TJS Ceramic Studio in Sioux Falls today.
People ask him where he got his top shelf voice. Dime store? Bargain. Once again, here's Dave Holly.
Welcome back, everyone. Yes, you know what I'm going to say, but it's going to be a twist this time. It's always a pleasure to talk Sioux Empire arts and entertainment, but the Sioux Empire has gone a little more countrywide. As we're down in Tennessee and speaking with my nephew, Andy Wortman. How are you, Andy?
I'm well, thank you.
Glad to hear that. You know, you've actually been a part of the Dave Holly Hour in the midst of COVID.
We did get a
because we were having the times of, I only missed 2 shows because of the COVID situation.
That's pretty good.
Not bad at all, and very proud of that. But in the meantime, one of the bands that you are involved in, Southern Shame, put out a single called
Locked Up.
And we got to use it. And I think one of the greatest things about that was the fact that, in podcasting world, you have to worry about copyright. You don't get that little thing, that says you get 5 seconds without having to worry about it. That's false. So every time that I actually get to use music that's copyrighted versus royalty free, I have to get permission. And so I said, well, Andy, any chance that I'd be able to use this on my podcast? So I need you to ask the gentleman that wrote it. And, well, we can't say exactly what he said
we can't.
On this because
it is
an
exuberant
family show. We have to label it as explicit in that case. But basically he said, share it.
Yes, we'll say that. Free for the people.
Exactly. So that's one of 2 bands you're in, Southern Shame. And what's the name of the other one that is a... it's a Pearl Jam tribute band, right?
Yeah, Indifference.
Which
is the title of a Pearl Jam
right.
song. Yeah.
Okay, so that's why we get that. What got your musical career started?
Oh, geez. That's quite a question. I don't know. I started, mom and dad sing in church, all that kind of stuff. And then they asked me if I wanted to take piano lessons when I was a kid in high school, which I did and which I was okay at, but I never felt like I was really good at. And then around that time, I got a guitar, like I think half teenage boys ever do, at least, and teenage girls for that matter, and whoever else. And I only learned the cowboy chords and was never that good at that either. And then, honestly, I don't think he would listen to this, so I can admit to this. There's this dude that was the former bass player of the Southern Shame, and he was always just a touch cocky, in my opinion. I hope he never hears this. I feel terrible saying this, but he was the kid who, like, when I was a kid in band, gave me a hard time on the bus for, like, oh, look at the band geek carrying his trombone and all this and that, right? And, like, I saw this guy play bass, and I was like, man, I feel like I could play bass at least that well. So I just got a bass and started playing honestly with just the idea of, like, let me see if I can be as good as him, pretty much. And then I just tried to get better after that. And there came a time where they went to put that band back together because they'd been broken up. Our singer, Jason, one of his daughters had cancer, and they just had to kind of quit doing it because they didn't have time. And this other guy didn't want to do it, so they asked me if I wanted to be a part of it. And from that, I've gotten to meet all these other people in just Nashville and Murfreesboro and wherever else, and gotten to play with them for fun. It's fun. Like, it's exactly like I wanted it to be, in the way of, like, when you hear, like, Not like we're on this level, but like when you hear those cool things like, yeah, Stephen Stills played with Jimi Hendrix at one time, and like where it's just they're all friends. It's fun to be like, oh, you really do just make friends and get to be like, hey man, do you want to come play with this thing we're doing? We're doing a one-off. I think it started out like a long time ago that they did this Pearl Jam thing, not a long time ago, but a good 5 or 6 years ago, as just a one-off kind of tribute to this one album versus. And now it's the 30-year anniversary, and we're doing that again. And on that one, they didn't even ask me along, but I got asked for subsequent ones. And I was like the B team bass player, and then the other guy just wasn't that interested in it.
Bass.
Yeah. And then I got promoted. I guess they called me up to the majors.
All right. So bass, you had trombone though. So obviously you're on the bass clef.
Yeah, and tuba, but that. Both of those, I was not.
I never knew about.
I was
tuba.
not good at either. Really, I never was that great. Yeah,
you don't even.
Tuba was a lot easier though. Your embouchure is a lot looser, and you don't have to mess with the slide positions. It's just the 3 buttons. It was, but I stunk. I tried to join marching band and couldn't march. Just sad.
That coordination wasn't.
Yeah, it was not at all. Yeah. Like not even to march. Like they had to like pull me aside and try to get me to do it. It was sad.
All right, so the trombone, I mean, do you still have one?
We do, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. James will pull it out and just mess around with it and blow on my son, who is sitting next to me, podcast listeners.
Yes.
Say hello, James.
Hello.
And he's going to be the subject of another.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I'm going to interview him after I interview you.
Oh, you're fancy, man.
Yeah, how about that, huh?
Right on.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about a lot of things with him.
All right, I'm curious.
Yeah, I'm sure.
He'll have things to say.
Video proof that the boy can dance.
Oh,
I caught that the other day at Chewy's.
Yeah.
Which for those that are in the Great Sioux Empire, take a look at Chevy's. Take a look at the font. Take a look at the way that they do their logo, and it says Tex-Mex. All you have to do is make CHEVY apostrophe S CHUEY. Yes, correct.
I think it's just UY.
UY.
Yeah.
UY. Okay, that's Chewy's down south.
Do they really? They've just
seriously.
So one has obviously co-opted the other's font. It's hard to say who came first.
Pretty sure.
Okay.
Or if they don't know about each other, somebody's got a great lawsuit on copyrights coming their way, don't they?
Right
on. Because I just, with the way that I know you and what you love about music and the vast, if there's anybody that has a more eclectic taste in music than I do, it's you.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
that means a lot.
Well, I think you're the first one I knew of John Lee Hooker. But when you got an album of his, and you were like 7th or 8th grade, I'm like, okay, I better listen to this.
You know, a lot of that.
I go boom, 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 boom.
You know, like the those Columbia House things that used to come for the CD thing.
Well,
they would send out LPs.
Yeah.
It was CDs for me. And I've always wanted, on a quick side note, to find one of those old LP things and see if you could send it in and see if they'd send you anything back still. Like, would they be like, no, this deal expired, buddy. But but they had like a little blues pamphlet that came with the little mailer, and there were a bunch of blues CDs marked way down. So it was almost just in the interest of like, I need more CDs. And I just bought a bunch of, $5 blues records or CDs, whatever you want to call them. And that's how I learned a bunch of that stuff. It was almost just by like wanting to get cheap CDs and having new music to listen to.
Let's go back to you wanted to say, well, I think I can play bass as well as this guy at least.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
Are you self-taught on the bass?
I took lessons from a guy, named Corey Nichols here in town, who's a really good bass player. He's got an excellent ear. He can just do that thing where I know a lot of people can do this, but like you'd hand him a song and he'd be like, okay, that's the 1 4 A minor third, that kind of thing, which I can't do. I have to play by ear over and over again. It's one of those things that I find you get better at the more you do it. But if I slack on it and don't practice playing by ear, I will very easily default to looking up some music online or something like that, which is lazy. Yeah. I really ought to do more ear playing.
And I've never played it. A lot of people talk about learning. Well, I played Guitar Hero. Do they have a Bass Hero?
You can play bass on Guitar Hero.
Guitar.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's this neat game called, what is it called, James? Rocksmith. Have you seen that at all?
I have not, no.
It's like a 1/4-inch cable that plugs into USB into your PS4 or Xbox or what have you, or computer, and it translates the sound signal, and it's like Guitar Hero, except it's actual frets on a bass or guitar.
Okay.
And it will actually teach you how to play a stringed instrument, which I think is super cool.
That is, technology is
Yeah.
made so many things different. Just take a look at the gear that I have for a podcast.
Right. No, this
down
is a
here in
slick
Mount
rig.
Juliet, Tennessee, and running off some batteries, and it's digital. Yeah, it's amazing what's come along. What has been the most important part of your music career?
Most important part?
Yeah. What guides it? What made you decide that, hey, all right, so I am at least as good as this bass player or not, but what drives you beyond that?
I mean, it's just fun to it's so much fun to get to play with like a group of people. Like in the case of, say, Jason from the Southern Shame, who writes our songs, he just writes these really fun kind of slightly left to center songs. I wouldn't call them joke songs necessarily, but there's always one lyric that's just a little sideways and weird and kind of funny, it just makes you laugh in a dark humor sort of way. And then our drummer Tracy is just really fun in the way he played in a lot of punk bands and that sort of thing, but he doesn't necessarily gravitate towards playing punk rock anymore, but he's still got this kind of fast feel to him, and he loves to play drum fills that are just a little weird, that don't quite sound normal, but they just fit in there just right. And then like with the Pearl Jam thing, all those guys are really good. And it's one of those things where you feel like you're the fanboy who got to like sneak in and play with them or something like that. Like our lead guitarist
Ran away with the circus.
Yeah. Lead guitarist is super good. And the singer has this other band called Red River Hymn that's really great. And with Pearl Jam, I think anyone who's heard them knows how distinct the Eddie Vedder voice is.
True.
And I think what our singer Patton does is tries to just almost not even do that. I think he goes for the notes. He goes for the general intensity, but I think he tries to just sing it in his own voice.
He's not trying to be
which
Eddie Vedder.
Which I think is a better thing to do. I think you're just fouling up if you try to even imitate
then it becomes
that.
all the comparisons.
Yeah. But yeah, the drummer, he's awesome. This guy Joe West, he just hits the drums so hard. And
with Southern Shame, do you classify that as indie rock?
I don't know. It got what did we get called one time? Americana, I think we got thrown into once. Someone gave us, which we really appreciated, like a Violent Femmes, if you've ever listened to them, with how they've got kind of mostly acoustic type stuff. But we used to do that more. I guess we've kind of drifted away from that. Jason plays an electric most of the time now. But that was that's one of those comparisons where you're like, okay, sure, we'll take Violent Femmes. Okay, yeah. But yeah, I get it's a little countryish. It's almost at this point though kind of become just Jason will come up with a song and we'll try to put a certain feel onto it, whether it's our attempt at like a booty call song or whether it's just like something that's this might sound a little Johnny Cash like, but not entirely, and just whatever's fun really.
Yeah. All right, with Indifference then, is it a true tribute band? Or just a cover band?
I guess the way I understand it, it's supposed to be, I guess since we only do Pearl Jam songs or songs that Pearl Jam will play live regularly.
Okay, so then it's a tribute band.
So it's a tribute band. Yeah,
you're not just covering some of their songs and, oh, by the way, we play some
Here's a few Nirvana and Stone Temple Pilots. Okay. Yeah, it's definitely all that, with the exception of Pearl Jam will do, say, like a couple Neil Young songs. So we'll do those just for fun, like Rockin' in the Free World or something like that. Just fun stuff like
just
that.
Just like, Dave Matthews Band,
All Along the Watchtower.
Yeah,
they do Sledgehammer now regularly?
Yeah,
I've got to hear that.
Years,
Oh, okay, I got to hear that.
Who do you admire as a bass player then?
Oh, I mean, well, Jeff Ament from Pearl Jam is a really good bass player. And I guess this is probably like this with a lot of guys if you get forced into learning everything they've ever done. But he's really good at kind of alternating between just having a cool, groovy bass line to just kind of locking in really tight with the drums and almost playing along with the drummer's beat specifically. He'll also sometimes more accompany the singer, almost where he's kind of like that quality of like the piano in Bridge Over Troubled Water, how it fits so perfectly with the vocal. He'll almost, granted it's on a bass, but he'll almost kind of lock in like that. Like a good example of someone else who does that is James Jamerson from Motown. That guy is amazing. Like he's really good at locking in, like having a counter melody going to the melody that's going on. And you listen to all those songs so many times, you don't realize how awesome the bass lines are in almost all Motown songs. I mean, I guess all, not just almost all. They're all just incredible. And they had this other dude, Bob Babbitt, that kind of filled his shoes some, but he had the Jamerson style so much that those two guys and the Motown stuff, it's just all, I love that kind of thing. I could listen to that all day.
All right. You grew up in a family of singers. And do either of the bands take advantage of your singing ability?
I sing a little bit in the Southern Shame, but a lot of the times it's too much hassle to set up a mic, and we just won't do it. And I will be the first to admit that, like, if I needed to stop and work on something, it would be playing and singing at the same time. Like, I don't see how Paul McCartney sings all the melodies for the Beatles songs and plays the bass lines that he plays. I find it to be exceptionally difficult. Like singing around a campfire and just strumming like chords on an acoustic guitar, not so hard, but trying to play, say, an intricate bass line other than just root notes and singing at the same time is hard, I feel like, because it's almost like you've got a counter melody that you're playing and trying to keep up with the melody in your head at the same time. So I'm not that great at it. So that's one reason I don't do it at all in the indifference thing, because I just feel like I'm trying to keep up already.
Yeah. Okay. And one of the things that I wanted to bring up as talking to you, because I asked you long ago when you first got in with Southern Shame and so forth, that I think people in the Sioux Empire that are in bands and so forth are going to be surprised by. Because one time I said, well, when you get to play in Nashville, what do you guys earn?
Oh, yeah. Next to nothing sometimes. Right. A lot of the time.
And you were telling me that you've got to pay.
Sometimes.
And even then, sometimes beyond that, pay a sound guy as well.
Yeah. That's come to work out pretty well most of the time lately, to where it kind of stinks because you'd like to maybe have a free show. And sometimes what you'll end up doing is just charging a $5 cover just so you can make back what it costs to pay the sound guy.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
We were, your Aunt Carrie and I were down on Broadway the other day, and almost everybody in those bars on Broadway in Nashville playing for tips.
Yeah.
Nobody's making it big down here until they make it big.
Yeah. I would hope that those guys are maybe getting paid by the venue. I can't say for sure. Like with the Pearl Jam thing, we've gotten to play a few cool, nice venues, like this bar or not a bar, it's a brewery called Hop Springs out in Murfreesboro.
Okay.
That was like a really nice gig. Like it was one of those things where you go in and you're treated so nicely, and you're just not expecting like all this, like, oh yeah, what do you guys need? Oh, do you each want your own personal wedge monitor? Well, we can do that. Yeah, please, thank you. Stuff like that. And like you leave and you get like a decent paycheck where you're like, holy crap, I think this is more than I've ever made paying like any gig all put together up until this point. So you do get some fun ones like that. It's funny how when it's a nice one, how everything is just so much nicer. It's not just a little bit nicer, just everything is way nicer.
All right. So what do you expect of the future as you continue to play, being involved in a couple of things?
I would hope it's not as if I'm trying to say like I'm only in it for the money, but it would be super nice to be able with the Pearl Jam thing at this point the Indifference, where we've learned so many songs that I think we could get by with, so long as we're practicing on our own at home. If we have minimal rehearsals together, I think there are certain songs we've done enough times that we know each other well enough that if we were to just get the privilege of, every now and then you'll get like an actual cold request from, you know, some bar in Kentucky or something that's like, hey, we were looking for a Pearl Jam tribute band. Would you guys want to come up? And one time that just didn't work out because we all had something going on that weekend. But it'd be really cool if you had stuff like that where you just actually get asked for gigs instead of having to pursue them, and you just make a nice little bit of money that you can put really probably towards buying more gear to do another thing.
Yes,
But
it's what I have been told. Those of us that have gear and want more, it's called gas.
Yeah, the
gear acquisition syndrome.
Yeah.
Yes. I have a lot of gas.
Yeah, it's easy to get that.
Yeah, and okay, you know, one of the questions I always like to ask of guitar players, especially on this, is how many guitars do they have? So, do you have more than one bass?
Oh, absolutely.
Kind of figured you did. What's our number then?
Let's see. There are two just pretty much straight ahead electric basses. Then I found, I don't know if you guys have stores like this in Sioux Falls, but I imagine it's hard to think you don't. We have this place called Essex Bargain Hunt that is like where people return stuff from Amazon.
Yeah.
But they just sell the truckload and sell it at the store. I found in there on a top shelf an electric upright bass.
Oh, wow.
That would normally be like $800 or something like that. And I got it for like $450 or something like that. And it was one of those things where when you see it, it's like, that's not, they don't have something like that. What?
Oh.
No.
I have a neighbor that has a personalized special one made for him.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, that's real cool.
A lot of bass.
That's neat. So I got that. Since we started doing the Indifference thing and the Pearl Jam thing, they have several songs that feature a 12-string bass, which is kind of like...
Wow.
Okay, so you
Doesn't
know,
have
like
the richness of like a 12-string guitar then?
It's that same thing, except that instead of having it's still essentially like 4 places for you to put your fingers, the way there would be 4 strings, except instead of doubling them like they do with a 12-string guitar, they double them even more. It's like 1 thick string and 2 treble strings.
Wow.
1 thick string, 2 treble strings, and down the line. Whereas an 8-string bass, what I have is minus one of those extra treble strings.
All right.
And that's pretty neat. It's got like a real jangly sound like a 12-string guitar does, and it's fun. I've yet to figure out a lot of ways to use it because it feels a little bit like one of my favorite things about bass is how you can sound really cool without necessarily showing off. And it's hard to play that instrument without kind of being like, look at me. You hear this bass? It's got treble in it now. You can hear everything I'm doing. So it's hard to not seem flashy, I guess, when you're using it.
I always like to end with 2 questions, and sometimes the answer to the first negates having to ask the second. But a little different situation. You know, normally I ask, when you're not part of the arts and entertainment scene here, what do you like to be entertained by? And then any hobbies. Well, still basically the same questions, but before we even get to that, for a living, tell us what you do.
Oh, I'm an EEG tech. Put a bunch of wires on people's heads and watch their brain waves to see if they're having seizures or that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of like sleep apnea things and so forth.
Yeah. I'm also a sleep tech. I just don't use that anymore, really. But yeah, you would check for sleep apnea and that kind of thing. That we were mentioning before you started recording about like the take-home sleep tests. Yeah. Those have kind of cut into the sleep tech business. Okay. So I noticed that happening a while back, and I got lucky, and just they'll cross-train you because the 2 skills are sort of closely related.
Okay.
So I just went into the EEG thing so I wouldn't find myself out of a job suddenly. Which everyone I know who worked in it still works in it, so I don't think the jobs are going away, but I'm just happy that I learned to do something else.
So what do you like to be entertained by?
Oh, man, anything. I mean, whatever you got, you know what I mean? We don't get it's hard to get out and see things like plays and musicals and that sort of thing because of how tricky it is to find a good one necessarily, or maybe pay the money it'd take to go up to TPAC or something like that up in Nashville. But I love going to a concert or just a local bar to hear music, or go to the movies with the family, or veg out on TV shows. I'm a consumer of all media, I guess. Yeah, I mean, like James and I got the privilege of going to Atlanta, and we got to see a Braves game, and then the next day we got to see this cool samurai exhibit at the what is it, the High Art Museum? Bud, is that what it was called? High Art Museum. Yeah, which sounds so fancy, but it was so cool, like seeing all these neat great. Like old sets. So I mean, I'll go to the museum or whatever. I just like getting out and seeing what have you. Yeah.
What about hobbies?
It's playing bass, I guess. Really, that's it. Yeah, I've never been a good guy in the sense of like being a big sports fan or anything like that. Like say my brother Philip or what have you. I don't know why it's never interested me that much. I love going to games. I have a great time there, but like I'm not going to sit and look at stats and watch a game on TV. I don't know why. I wish I could, because I think it'd be a blast. But yeah, it's pretty much just playing bass, really. Okay, I will admit to one thing. I have a Fortnite addiction, probably. James got us started on it.
Okay, you're a Fortnite man.
Yeah,
because, a lot of people I talk to, it's all D&D.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the big thing. But Fortnite, all right.
Yeah. I'm ashamed at how much time I have potentially wasted playing that.
And, since you are so musical, is there a chance we could play something from the Southern Shame after this?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Absolutely.
We have permission?
Sure thing. Yeah,
all right.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely.
My nephew, Andy Wortman. Thank you so much for taking some time to be on here.
Absolutely. I had a good time.
All right. We'll be back with more of the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment. Ladies, when it's time to give your nails some love, get that extra special treatment from Quality Nails on South Minnesota Avenue in Sioux Falls. Manicures and pedicures that look great and make you feel fantastic. Zaya and Tony provide professional care for your hands and feet, whether you just want the basics or an extra special look with added flair. Oh, and guys, it's okay to treat yourself too. Quality Nails. Call for an appointment. 605-334-1463.
He's jazzed to the eyeballs. Once again, here's Dave Hawley. Crikey, mate.
Thanks again to my guests, Kjerstin Smith and Andy the Birthday Boy Wortman. As always, the biggest thank you goes to each of you that listen, download, share, and follow. And don't forget to listen next week for the final show of 2023. Now, if you haven't so far, follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Besides information about the show, you'll find out when Dave Holly Hour Trivia is going on at Chasers. For all 209 episodes now, go online at davehollyhour.com. By the way, use the search function on our website to look up when your favorite artists have been on before and listen to any of those previous episodes. As the Sioux Falls Arts Council says, together we art. As Arts South Dakota says, home is where the art is. As I say, put some art in your heart. Remember, my name is Dave Holly, and for me, every day is a holiday.
Dave Holly Hour has been brought to you by TJS Ceramics Studio, Posh Boutique, The Sky & Tea, XL Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Jesse Moffitt Entertainment, and the Sioux Falls Arts Council. If you would like to contribute to the continued success of this podcast, simply buy Dave a cup of coffee. Go to davehollyhour.com and click on the coffee cup icon. Don't forget to stay up to date on the show by following on Instagram and Facebook. The Dave Holly Hour is produced in the Dipsy Doodle Studios by Big D Entertainment.
Thanks for listening.